Attention all New Mexico home buyers and sellers. The purchase agreement in New Mexico has just been updated, and there are some huge changes that if you're not aware of them, you could lose a lot of money whether you're buying or selling a home. My name is Mitchell Waring. I am your Albuquerque real estate expert. I'm your Albuquerque realtor. I'm here with all of the biggest updates regarding New Mexico real estate. So let's get right into it. So probably the biggest change that's come up is another fee that's included that's called independent consideration. Now, a lot of people aren't quite sure what this is, what this means for you as a buyer or a seller, so I'm going to tell it to you. So what this is, it's an additional fee the buyer pays directly to the seller. The funds go to the seller before the property closes, before you buy the entire property. This fee goes directly to the seller outside of escrow, and for most instances, this fee is non-refundable. So what that means is instead of just paying the escrow fee right after you get under contract, now you have to pay an independent consideration fee, which goes directly to the seller. Now you can pay it through the title company, but the money right away goes to the seller. So basically what you're doing now is you're paying the seller a fee to take their home off the market and put it from active into pending. Now here are some things that people are getting wrong about this. A lot of buyers and sellers think that this works like earnest money. It doesn't. Earnest money goes, most of the time is held by title until the very end, or until the contract falls apart. And then depending on how the contract's written, what disputes happened within the contract, then it gets distributed. This goes right away. You can give it the title, but that is right away going to the seller. You're paying them to take their home off the market. That is what this is essentially. And in most cases, this will not be refundable. The only way it's refundable is if the seller truly messes up and violates the contract, which we will get into more at the end of this video. Another mistake that's happening, or that can happen, is making sure it's documented correctly. There's going to be issues that come up where we say, oh, this person didn't deliver it. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. I didn't get it. Deliver it the right way. Have a crystal clear, easy to follow paper trail of this money, because you don't want to get in a dispute over this. Make sure you understand who you're giving it to, when you're giving it to them. Make sure it's documented. Make sure everything's crystal clear. This could save you a big headache and save you a lot of money down the road. Now, another key update that's happening with this new purchase agreement is the deadlines have been enforced even more, and missing deadlines are being punished even harder. So remember when I said that it is very hard for this to be refundable? Here's how it can be refundable. If you as the seller are not careful with your timelines, if you say, I will have HOA documents for you, I will have the seller's disclosure for you. If you say, I will have a seller's disclosure for you in 5 days and it takes you 6, you could be at risk for losing your independent consideration. It is very, very strict now, and you cannot make these little errors that maybe you could have gotten away with before. That's not a thing anymore. You have to be very careful. So what does this mean if you're on the buying side? That means you are risking losing money every time you put in an offer. So you need to make sure you are working with a realtor who knows how to protect your money, knows how to set up the contracts, the inspections, the whole 9 yards to make sure if you're going to put money down on a house, that house gets to closing. It is more crucial than ever now to make sure you understand what you want as a home buyer, what you're looking for, how you word contracts, how you lay out timelines, making sure your realtor explains every single line to you. Gone are the days in New Mexico where you can just write offers and back out 2 days later because I didn't like the color of the house. As a buyer, that's going to lose you time and, most importantly, money now. So it's more important than ever to know exactly what you're buying and know exactly the process to make sure you are buying the best home for you. So what does this mean if you are a seller? Now, you can think, oh, I just have all of the leverage now. And yes, you do have more leverage. But again, it is very important that you have a realtor that understands the contracts and makes sure with this independent consideration that you are protected from a buyer not performing. And if they don't perform and they back out, that you get to keep the money. That's been a big frustration so far for sellers in Albuquerque is lots of deals have gone under contract and then fallen out days later. Lots of times not even the seller's fault that it happened. But this is what's been going on. And I think this is what this independent consideration is trying to fix. But if you do not understand how to protect that money and how to protect your home throughout the process, you could lose lots of time and money. And one of the ways I foresee lots of sellers are going to end up losing their money is not being careful with timelines, not reading the contract properly, and not understanding the dates. This is going to be huge because you're going to get independent consideration. You're going to get independent consideration and you're going to think, all right, I just got $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it might be. And then you're going to miss an important date. You're not going to reply to the inspection reports soon enough. You're not going to get them the HOA docs in the time that was lined out in the contract, and you're going to miss out. Also, another key point, another key change. If you do an inspection report, you cannot, as the buyer, you cannot send the entire report to the seller. That can terminate the contract. That violates the contract. That is not allowed. You cannot give excessive data. So for example, if you did an inspection and you found, hey, this needs a new roof, you can only send them the data from the inspector that's relevant to the problem you're trying to solve. So if you send them roofing info, oh, and by the way, your water heater is 20 years old, you violated the contract. This is where people are going to mess up. I can foresee it. So you need to have a realtor who's very, very careful, focused on the details. These little minute details could cost you money, they could cost you time, and ultimately cost you your home. So this video isn't meant to totally scare you. It's meant to inform you and bring awareness that things are changing, and hiring a good realtor who understands these contracts and the new integral parts to the contract is more important than ever now. There's so much that's going into these contracts that people are going to overlook, people are going to miss. And I don't want you to be one of those people. So if you're thinking of moving to Albuquerque, buying, selling, whatever it is in the Albuquerque area, reach out to the number below, 505-401-9001, and make sure you have an Albuquerque professional realtor on your side when you are making your next purchase or your next sale.